right before going up on the platform, there were very clear signs that I was having a miscarriage. And I just had to go up there and speak and share what the Lord had put on my heart to share, all the while knowing the very real possibility that I was having a miscarriage in that moment.
In that moment, I felt left, lost, abandoned, like God's forgotten about me. But I had to bounce my feelings off the truth. And the truth is found in verses like Philippians 1:6. It says, I'm confident in this, that he who began a good work will be faithful to complete it. And that's whether we feel like it or not. I went through a period in my life where one of the hardest things I've ever done is go through a broken engagement and then have to get up on stage and sing about the faithfulness of God all in a 24-hour period. That's for somebody like me, that's the phoniest I've ever felt. That's the most broken I've ever felt. And I got up on stage, and I remember saying into the microphone, I don't feel like doing this. And I saw my road manager in the back go, well, that's the end of that. You know what I mean? It's over now. But that created a lot of issues in me, and she didn't create issues in me. That whole scenario created issues in me, so I want to protect her also. But yeah, ever since then, and I am a proponent of counseling. I've been in counseling since then. I have major commitment issues, and I am married to my career, and I work really hard, but I have major commitment issues that I work through once a month with a counselor. And until I'm ready, I'm not doing it for Christian culture. I'm not trying to make everybody happy. I'm not going to try to paint. Yeah, it's too much work to try to paint the picture to Christendom of what they think I should be. I'm not doing that. So that's where I am right now. Yeah.
Do you think, as difficult as you said it was, and you said you felt phony and that sort of stuff, the day that you, in that 24-hour period, broke an engagement, and you were standing on stage, is there something redeeming about that, though? The fact that despite the difficulty, despite the broken heart, despite the frustration, you led worship anyway.
Right. I always talk about that. I talk about the fact that I decided to sing anyway. It's not because I'm noble. It's because I was there, had a microphone. But either way, I decided to worship in spite of the way that I felt. And when I made the decision to worship in spite of the way that I felt, I have never, to this day, I have never had a worship experience that deep. The audience either. I'm sure, I told the audience what was going on in my life. I'm sure some of them were like, yo, we just came to worship. That's too much. You know what I mean? But I told them what was going on. And by the end, by the time I opened my eyes singing one of these songs, there wasn't a dry eye in the room because people could see me making the choice to worship in spite of the way that I feel. And I think that speaks louder sometimes than putting on a slick presentation of worship. To be able to understand, my dad says this all the time, is that feelings don't have intellect. And in that moment, I felt left, lost, abandoned, like God's forgotten about me. But I had to bounce my feelings off the truth. And the truth is found in verses like Philippians 1:6. It says, I'm confident in this, that he who began a good work will be faithful to complete it. And that's whether we feel like it or not. Yeah. So in that moment, again, I've never felt God meet me in a deeper way than worshiping him in spite of the way I was feeling. And even there are things that aren't included in this book. Our family has gone through some pretty tragic stuff in the last few weeks, really. But we lost a member of our family, and this is an unexpected place to find any kind of redeeming anything, to lose a young, our cousin, she's 38, young, vibrant, and
four daughters.
Yeah, four daughters, two twin-year-old twins that are 9 and 12, 14. Texting her at 5 o'clock and then lost her at 6:30. She's gone. I have watched my cousin's husband, who is one of my best friends. He was my manager for years. I have watched him worship in spite of that loss and see the lives that have already been changed and altered because he decided to worship in spite of the way that he is feeling right now. And if he can worship through that, I can worship through anything. And I just left his house this morning. I flew here from there to help him. Our family's kind of rotating in and out to help him with the kids and stuff. But he morning devotions with the kids and praying over them and still ministering to people in spite of the way that he feels. And in this unexpected place of loss at the event we just came from, we just saw 30 or 40 women give their lives to the Lord based on our cousin Winter's story. The night before we were with my brother, same thing. People are giving their lives to the Lord because he's deciding to worship in spite of the way, in spite of what he's going through at this moment. And that's what it's about.
just to your point here, I was just thinking as you were talking, remembering, gosh, I guess 16, 17 years ago, I had just found out, I don't even know if I ever told you this, but I had just found out that I was pregnant with our first child, me and Jerry. And we were traveling to Chicago. I surprised him on the airplane, the stewardess coming over the airplane speaker to say, hey, the guy in 22A, you're going to be a dad for the first time. It was all fun. And then we were going to Chicago. I was speaking there. And I went to the restroom backstage right before going up on the platform. And there were very clear signs that I was having a miscarriage. And this is before Jackson.
I
remember.
I remember.
You remember this?
Not all these details, but I remember the story. Yeah.
So the point is, I can't go get Jerry sitting way in the back of the room. I'm up front. I can't do anything about it. And I just had to go up there and speak and share what the Lord had put on my heart to share, all the while knowing the very real possibility that I was having a miscarriage in that moment. Yeah. But in that session, I watched God move and impact people's lives. And the reality is that sometimes when we just put one foot in front of the other and trust that He who began a good work is faithful to complete the work,
Yeah, I really believe that if we do what we can, God will always do what we can't. And that is the bottom line. That's the bottom line. I live by that. I live by that, and I encourage everybody in this room to live by that, everybody who's watching to live by that. Do what you can. God will work all things together for your good, and do what you cannot, especially when you're facing unexpected scenarios and unexpected places.
And the reality is when people say, I want to know God's will for my life, sometimes His will is best clearly seen in just do the next thing.
Right.
What has He put in front of you to do? Do it.
Right.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. 100%. Absolutely.
Be obedient to that. So that's what your story, honestly, that's what your story really teaches us. In so many places and seasons of life where you have chosen to be so honest with your struggle, with your internal struggle, with bouts of depression that you had to really kind of, as your family, we had to help to pull you out of. You had to be proactive and fight for yourself in those ways. The doubt, getting labels off of you where other people put labels on you. You've had to work hard to get, this hasn't been like just a breezy fairy tale story. You've had to work hard to get yourself out into a place of health.
Yes, I've had to work really hard. And one of the greatest things I ever did was decide to be honest and vulnerable and transparent, because that set me up with a soft place to land. I remember I have a friend of mine who's an elite gymnast, and I said, why are you not afraid to keep trying new skills? And she just looked at me and said, because I have a soft place to land. And I thought, that is the most amazing concept, because she will continue to try a skill until she lands on her feet because she has a soft place to land. And I believe that it is our responsibility as believers to be a soft place for people, but then to create that through friendships, relationships, counseling. It creates a soft place to land. Not for you to lay down and do nothing. Like, you got to get up and you got to work. But you can keep working until you land on your feet. And this book is a lot of those stories and challenges to the audience to keep working through and keep working, and eventually you will land on your feet. Yeah. Most of these chapters, I've landed on my feet after a bout with something pretty intense.
So Anthony, I'm so glad that you shared your story, because people are going to be blessed by this. They really are. Because the reason why I think they're going to be blessed is because they're going to see themselves in the book. They're going to see themselves in the book. And I know that was your point. And so thank you for that. I am so grateful to Anthony for a lot of reasons. He's one of my closest friends. He's just my best friend, my baby brother. And I'm proud of him for this. And I know that you're going to be excited as well when you read this book, and that you're going to be blessed by it.